Welcome to the Orange is a New Black live Q&A session. I am your host, Ace Boogie, joined by my co-host, Zim Hude. Zim, say what's up.
Hey, I'm Zim.
So we appreciate you guys for joining us tonight. And
That's
last
so
week, we
funny.
started something off where we kind of took listener questions. We wanted to do that again tonight. So we followed up with that. So kicking things off, it looks like the first question comes from Victor Cinco. Do the Patriots get punished for recording the Bengals on the sideline? Or did they get punished? I don't think they've been punished yet.
Yeah, they did. They got the fine of let's come back to that. They got the fine.
Okay. Let's see. Looking for some more questions. So Tua would be the savior for one team, the Lions, but Burrow, oh no, don't go to the Bengals.
They
Which
got 250,000.
that's kind of crazy to me, right? Like I know we don't want to spend too much time addressing these crazy media narratives, but what's crazy to me is like if Joe Burrow does reject going to the Bengals, is he supposed to go to the Redskins? Is he supposed to go to the Lions? Are those supposed to be like great organizations? Because to me, they're not. So I hear the national media making all this noise, but like, what's the alternative? Where is he forcing the Eli to? Like, the second and third teams aren't really great organizations themselves. One organization is going 0-16. The Bengals have never done that. And I can't remember the last time the Lions were in the playoffs, not to mention them having two of their best players retire on them in their primes with Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders. So to me, it's just kind of crazy.
Okay. So as you were saying that, I just looked that up. I was wrong. They did get fined 2007 for 750,000 for the Spygate thing. It says in January that they announced that they would be disciplined for it, but it does not list what the discipline was though. Yeah, and if you guys don't know, they got caught filming the Bengals on December 8th.
Right. Zim, I got a question for you right here. Why does everyone hate on the Bengals, but not anyone else? It seems like that's what Pixel Productions wants to ask.
I feel like a lot of people hate on other teams as well. But it's just right now, I think as a Bengals fan, we're not used to us being in the center of the big media pile that is thrown in people's way. Like the media is so crazy. If you guys are watching this, right? Do you know how many positive quotes that have come out of the Burrow family? How many positive quotes that have come from Joe Burrow himself by saying like, "Oh, I would love the idea of playing in Ohio." Like, you know, He said a lot of different things. The family said, even the father and the mom said, we don't know where this is coming from. Joe would love to play for them guys. Like they're just happy at the fact that number one. But Joe Burrow slipped up one time this past week, if you guys weren't watching, and he said, I have leverage in one of his sentences, right? But he wasn't saying I have leverage against the Bengals. He meant he had leverage in the sense of I'm potentially the number one pick. And maybe he didn't clarify those comments, but the way that I took him when you watch him say it is that he's saying that in that sense, I get to dictate some things that maybe that I would like once I'm selected. But it depends on how you break down the sentence. You really have to go watch it. If you guys haven't seen it, Joe Burrow was accepting the Davey O'Brien Award this past week. And all throughout this whole time, he's never denied that he's never said he doesn't want to play for the Bengals. But this one time he says a sentence that says leverage in it. And it's just like in grade school, like 100 people hear the same thing and it just starts getting flip. Before you know it, the headline is Joe Burrow is leveraging against the Bengals. And all of the comments about him in that same paragraph saying that he loved the idea of playing in Ohio, going back to Ohio. Anybody that's willing to pay him to play the game of football, like that's like it's all these different things, and I just thought that's crazy how the media. We're not used to this as Bengals fans, though. How they'll just take Odell Beckham Jr. could tell you about this in New York, but they'll take one bit of his sentence and make that like this thing, and then other news people pick it up, and then by the time we get it, most of the people that are Bengals fans say Odell's a crybaby, right? But he's really not. It's just that's what the media does to people like that. He's really not. He's just as passionate as anybody else playing football, but he's like considered one of the faces of football. So
Right, exactly. You guys are tuning in to the Orange is the New Black podcast live. You can find this podcast streaming on all of your platforms under the name Cincy Jungle. We are with the syndicate of all different kinds of Bengals podcasts. Orange and Black Insider, check them out. They just had someone from PFF that they just interviewed, so be sure to check them out with Anthony and John Sharon. We also have Matt Minish's Talk Talk, where he's going through and breaking down all sorts of things. But in respect to what Zim said, I have to totally agree with him. I think that a lot of people just tend to hate on the Bengals because they have kind of looked at the Bengals from afar, right? There's always these people in the media that kind of always pick the Bengals as a sleeper team the last couple of years. And the Bengals will let them down, right? And it feeds into the other narrative that the Bengals just aren't a team that's ready for the spotlight. And then you tend to have all of these people that just negate all of the success that they've had and pretty much put it all on the fact that they haven't won a playoff game. Now, I'm not going to say that that's not a good benchmark to kind of judge success when it comes to NFL teams. But there's several teams, like I just saw a tweet today, luckily from Pete Prisco, that said the Bengals have been to the postseason more than the Cowboys have in the last decade. And the Cowboys are one of the biggest talked about teams. I mean, they're probably one of, if not the biggest fan base in the NFL, aside from probably the Steelers. And you just don't hear those narratives. And I'll go into what Aaron Carr is asking is why can't ESPN just admit that they don't like Cincinnati? That's kind of a part of what spawned my love-hate relationship with ESPN, to be honest with you. And it kind of started in 2011 when Andy Dalton was clearly going to be the quarterback, and Jordan Palmer, ironically, because he's training Joe Burrow now, they were saying that he was going to be the quarterback. And it's just like, I understand that you're the national media and you have to cover 32 teams, but for you to not even have a pulse on what's going on with the Bengals because we're not a big market team, because your viewers and the ratings that you come from, which are typically New York. I've heard about the New York Jets repeatedly, and they've been trash for the past decade. But if you're not in a big market, and I also see this down in Florida with Tampa, they don't talk about you. They don't know anything about you. And I think the fact that Cincinnati is the number one team, they have to find something to talk about. And this is what they're choosing to talk about. Zim, do you think that ESPN just hates on Cincinnati, or do you think that it's just like a media thing?
Excuse me. It's just lazy narratives and people picking up storylines and running with it, ratings. It's a mixture of all of these things, and I hate to say it, all of it, if you really trace it, it's always money driven. So to me, it's all about like ratings, clicks, click per play, all that type of stuff, and just in this moment right now where football's not being played, like all these different people have to generate views, and if they can, and negativity, hate to say it, just does that. It does that a lot better than positive. Like, you know how many Bengals stories that I could post of them doing things where they're helping out people in the community, and I look at the views and everything on it, and a lot of people will say, yeah, that's really good, but they're geared in towards if something more negative happens or something happens, like when Vontaze Burfict was on the team, and people just look at that, even our own fans and even myself. Like, it's one of them things where I guess you expect them to be positive and you expect them to be professional and you expect them to be almost like superheroes because they're famous and they're rich. And so everyday Joes like myself, when something really bad happens, it's like, oh, what's that, superhero? You're struggling over there. What's going on? You got something to say? Like, you know, like that's what fuels Instagram. That's what fuels Twitter. It's negativity, and that's just the way it is.
It really is, and I think you really hit on that. Like, now it's almost like essentially that news has really been watered down, and you get a lot of clickbaity stuff out there, and just people just trying to write whatever headline that they can. And one important thing I think that you touched on at earlier was they just put a certain sentence or a certain phrase on there. Like, we can't hear the actual audio of what Joe Burrow said. We can't tell his tone. We can't take anything.
On the interview that they're talking about, though, you could go watch it, though. He was getting an acceptance speech for the Davey O'Brien Award or something like that. I'm going to tell everybody this. I don't care what headline y'all read. Joe Burrow is going to have 10 minutes on the podium next week at the Combine. If he says anything like that, that's the time. Like, I don't know if he had media training or whatever. If he's going to say something where he's going against Cincinnati, next week is the time that y'all could do that. Right now, you're not going to catch any. They're recycling the same stuff. So if you wake up and I saw something new, it caught my headline. I mean, it caught me, and they just recycled a story from 2 weeks ago, but they just changed the headline on it. And I was like watching it when I was at the gym. I was like, hold up, what the hell? And then this happened to me this earlier today. I'm like, oh, I'm like reading the closed case. I'm like, man, this is trash. Like, but when he speaks next week, we'll be posting it.
Oh, we'll definitely be listening. If you could pick a linebacker, we're getting into some draft talk from Stone Gaming TV. If you could pick a linebacker in the draft, would it be Kenneth Murray or Patrick Queen?
I'm gonna start off with this one for you. On my end, Patrick Queen coming into the season, I had seen him mocked at like a 4th round. As the season went on, he just started, because of his versatility and everything like that. I think in the speed. Yeah, like I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna start out like this. In this whole thing, this reminds me of last year. Everybody wanted a offensive lineman, and I was the guy that was screaming for. I forgot what the hell I wanted. I always wanted a quarterback, right? And then the year before that, everybody wanted. Did they want offensive line? Every time and I wanted John Ross, right? Every time somebody
wanted linebacker, some people wanted Devin White, some people wanted Reuben Foster. It's like
that was the big debate. It was Reuben Foster versus like who was
John Ross.
I don't even think it was John Ross at the time.
Jonathan Allen was up there, but he kind of went.
I didn't care about Jonathan Allen. I just know every year it's like Bengals fans are now fixated on linebacker, right? But if you're paying attention to how they're playing the game of football right now, and when I say the game of football, I'm talking about the Bengals 3-4-5-2 sets, and the way that they're doing it, the linebackers aren't really going to see the field. This guy that everybody's saying, we got to have this guy. If you look at the snap counts or whatever, that guy isn't going to play that much because Jermaine Pratt and possibly Visual, they bring him back, is probably going to share snaps with this guy. And if you look around the league, there are very few Bobby Wagners in the league. And these coverage linebackers that you guys are looking at, like the Littletons of the world, hate to bust your Littleton bubble. I just don't see him playing like all of these snaps. Like he didn't play that many snaps for the Rams, and I don't see him playing that. And now I'm not saying the Bengals are even going to be in the runnings for that. Like Littleton is going to be like tier 1, day 1 guy, overpaid guy, not even on the table. But when we bring a discussion of Patrick Queen and Kenneth Murray, I do like Patrick Queen over Murray, but it won't be second round for me on any of them guys. Like for me, like I've already mentally like moved past that, and I'll get into my mocks and stuff later on. But I'm just telling you guys, like it just the way that they're playing right now, they're not going to do that. And these linebackers they're not on the field that much for me. That's why the Devin Bush pick to the Steelers never really made that much sense to me. If you look at Pro Football Focus and everything like that, I wanted Devin Bush, but I can't take him that high because the amount of time that a linebacker is going to play in a 16 or now 17 game season is just not as high, and you're not going to get the return on your investment like you would like a corner. I could see them pulling a corner in the second round because now like that is a more important position. Like that's how I draft though. I go by like more important position. Best player available, you couldn't convince me Patrick Queen or Kenneth Murray is going to be better than I got 3-4 corners that I would take over him right now because they're just going to. It's the same argument about a quarterback versus a D lineman guy. Like who can swing the pendulum on the winning a game more, a quarterback or a D lineman? Quarterback every time. So the argument about Chase Young never, ever was ever a thing for me at number one. Chase Young is for a guy that already has the quarterback and they already probably even has some guys on their defensive line. I know I just went a whole nother way, but I'm just not sold on drafting a linebacker that high for me. And if I'm drafting him that high, he can't be a guy like a Patrick Queen or somebody that was a 4th round prospect that just shot his way up there just because of athleticism and making plays early. Now, will he go to the league and kill it? He might. But the chances of that me hitting on that, and I'm the Bengals scout team, is not that high versus me hitting on a corner right now. Because even when you miss on a Dre, even if you miss on a Denard, you still get lots of snaps, and you still gonna see him out there a lot. A linebacker make a bad play, right? 20-yard game. A cornerback make a bad play, that's a touchdown. Right? Just like, let's not make this science, people. A cornerback make a bad play, you're gonna know about it. You're gonna say Dre Kirkpatrick, he's trash. He got beat with a double move. That's a touchdown that he gave up. Linebacker missed a tackle, 20-yard game. And it's that simple to me. Sorry.
Nah, you're good. If I were to pick a linebacker, I totally agree with what Zim saying. From a positional standpoint, you know, cornerbacks are a premium. They're a more important position. But if the ball were in my court, and if you're there in the second round, and depending on what corners are on the board or what defensive players are on the board, edge rushers as well. If Kenneth Murray is staring you in the face with the first pick of the second round, you got to take him. Honestly, I don't think he'll be there.
I don't think neither one.
I don't think he's going to be there. I don't think Patrick Quinn would be there either. But I think Zim brings up a great point, right? And I was actually listening to a podcast today, Locked On NFL Draft with Trevor Sikkema, and they were talking about that you really don't have a difference between linebackers if you have guys that are slow and can just stop the run, right? A big X factor is you have to have a guy that can do all three. You have to have a guy that can cover, most notably because you got tight ends and receivers. These guys have to keep up with them. You have to have a guy that can stop the run, and you have to have a guy that can possibly blitz and fill gaps. It's hard to really find those guys, right? And there's no real difference between those top guys that you get and then the other guys that can kind of fill in and do some of those things, but just aren't as fast or can't cover as well. And it really broadens the gap between those top tier guys and the other guys. Like, there's really no difference between one of those guys that if you pick them in the third round or in the sixth round, because they really genetically and pretty much the way that they perform on the field are the same player. So I think, like Zim said, like if it's not one of these two guys, if Kenneth Murray is there in the second round, I'm running up to the podium. Patrick Quinn, I take either one of these guys, honestly, based on what we had. But to be honest, I would take a Corey Littleton or somebody else that's a veteran that I know is going to come in and immediately fill a need, and don't want to risk this next guy being the next Paul Dawson.
Like I just want to bring this up to you guys when we're talking about linebackers too. Last year, right? Jordan Hicks, Denzel Perryman, C.J. Mosley, Zach Brown, who got cut, Corey Littleton, Quan Alexander, who made a big difference on their team, Josh Bynes, Quan Alexander, you know, he went out for the whole year, Brandon Marshall, Jake Ryan. These guys didn't change their teams, and they got paid a lot of money, and that's in free agency. So that's the other part of it. Like, I can't chase it. You know, like it's dangerous chasing a linebacker in the draft. And the Bengals, that's not their MO. Ace does really, really good research on Bengals trends in drafting, and he'll tell you first and foremost about the different trends that they follow. And it ain't gonna be no linebacker second round unless it's somebody that fill out the first, right, that is like sitting right in their face. Now, as we get to the combine, and Kenneth Murray and your boy Patrick Queen, they kill it, and then now get projected as a first. Things change, and then they fall to us, which I don't see happening. That's what Ace is saying. I can see something like that happening. Right. But as of right now, they're both second round prospects to me, and they just don't line up with the guys that I'm looking at right now. I got two tackles right now that could change the face of our offensive line at that same spot. And to me, I don't know. That's right. A philosophical thing. So I just want Bengals fans to just, when we talk about linebacker, I know y'all, that's the narrative, and I know you watch football every week. And as the season went on, we start talking about linebacker. Just remember that. As the season went on, they weren't attacking the middle of the field. If I had my PFF numbers, I'll pull them up for you right now. They were not attacking the middle of the field, and teams were not doing the same shit. And as we got later on into the season, then we started focusing on other things. But fans just remember that part where they were killing linebacker early in the season. Cut Preston Brown. Pratt starts 3-4 games in, goes on a tear, plays really well. Me and Ace highlighted it, 12 tackles one game, 11 tackles the following game. They only played one linebacker on the field at a time.
Right. Especially that's a great point that you bring there. Like they really only use the nickel packages, especially with a lot of teams going three wide now. Never going to really have three linebackers on the field at the same time. Next question comes from Mariano Malave. I hope I'm saying your name right, bro. Do the
Malave.
Bengals look into Snacks Harrison now that he was released? So in the background, you guys can probably see the Adam Schefter tweet that Damon Snacks Harrison was released. Zim, do you think that the Bengals should look into him? He's 31 years old, coming off, I think, his third or fourth team now.
For me, it's just about where does he fall. I don't think he's a day one, day two type of guy. So that is a guy that they probably could look at. Cut ties with Kerry Wynn. That's somebody I would want to kick the tires on for me.
Yeah, I definitely would want to kick the tires on him too. If the price is right, you definitely have to look at him. Muscle Hamster asks, should we get a wide receiver in free agency?
Who's out there? Somebody asked me that earlier today. Who are you going to get? Perryman?
Perryman?
Right? Nope. This year is the year for wide receivers and tackles, right?
Yeah.
For me in the draft. I could go get me a third round, fourth round wide receiver, even if I got AJ and I had the franchise. If they franchise AJ and they don't give him this extension, yeah, I'm going wide receiver third round.
Let me ask you this, Zim, just off the cuff. I was looking at
we can't sign retards.
The Bengals.com mock draft, and somebody had the Bengals looking at wide receiver as high as the second round with like T. Higgins from Clemson. What do you think of that?
It all depends on AJ. It's all about AJ, because once you delegate that much money to him, like say you franchise him, right? He's already let us know that after the season, he's probably going to be gone if you try to franchise him. You could, because this is the thing. Once you franchise a guy, you can't then try to go into contract extensions during the season. Right. So that's the problem with franchising him. And then after that, he's free game, and he's probably gone at that point. So if that's the case, then yeah, I would be looking. If I'm looking, I don't know if T. Higgins. I don't know, man. It's a bunch of guys, bro. See, like guys like Jefferson and Chase, like they're like niche players that do one thing well. And we talked about that last time. I'm not against wide receivers that do something really, really well, and we have a whole group of them, and we get out of this mold where AJ Green gets hurt, and now suddenly our offense is trash, right? I'm trying to develop a wide receiver core where we're pretty much unstoppable, interchangeable, and I'm not looking for guys to get these big, crazy contracts. And when their time comes to get a contract, if they don't sign with me, I can go draft them again. I'm pretty much taking a Patriots playbook for real, for the most part, and just developing like guys that I think just do one thing really well. Even when they got Randy Moss, it was just to stretch the field. You know, they're still going to have their underneath guys. We still got the Tyler Boyds of the world. We still got an Auden Tate that's going to be a great possession receiver. Like, I'm trying to develop a good wide receiver core, and I don't have to have a big star.
Right, I agree with you on that.
But so second round, it just depends on AJ Green.
Okay. What do you think of the 7 teams from each conference going to the playoffs? Me personally, I think that was a great move for the NFL. Why not get 7 teams? I've always felt like when there's 6 that it kind of was not enough in a sense. When you come in, you look at, the NBA and it's 8 teams that get in, and you have a total of 16. It's like, why not go ahead and add another playoff team there? And I think it just makes the NFL a lot more interesting. Now, you could have teams get in like last year. I've heard people talk about, the Steelers would have got in and that would have just been a blowout. But think about all the other teams that go 9-7 and just don't even make the playoffs. For me, I think that it makes things more interesting. Zim, what do you think?
I think it makes it more interesting. You know who hit me this morning? Snoo Jr. You guys don't know Snoo. He was like, in that case, we would have made the playoffs every year under Mike Tomlin. So I was good with 6. You know what I don't like? I don't want 17. I don't like this 17 game thing. Hey, I'm doing a goddamn live over here. And look, I don't like this 17 game thing where all these players are just destroying all the records of all of these great players just because they got an extra game. I don't like that. The 7 game thing doesn't bother me. I'd rather keep it like it is. I'm kind of I'm kind of old school in that regard.
Got you. So Zim and Ace, Ryan asked, should we draft O-line early or go with Scherf? I'm going to say I'm kind of torn with this one, right? Because it's like we could get Scherf. I know that we're going to have to pay a pretty decent amount of money for him, right? But one guy that just keeps sticking in my head that I'm really thinking about is Solomon Kindley. Like if Solomon Kindley is there in the second round and you have a guy like him that you could bring in that could, essentially sign for peanuts on the dollar and you could have, your future guard there or even Moody. I like Moody as well, although we'd have to wait for Moody.
Ace got the gun cocked tonight. He got his players loaded up. He's ready for you guys. Y'all taking down notes? Because he's got some players for you guys. Write them down.
Moody and Solomon Kindley, I think I would I might go with them over Scherf. Now, if we could get Scherf, I would be geeked up. I would definitely be happy. But if we could grab one of those guys, a young guard that could be in their prime, it could be the next Quentin Nelson, it's kind of hard for me to pass on that. Zim, what do you think?
I'm on the Sheriff train, but one thing I have been looking at is availability. Sheriff has not played a 16-game season in a while. I've been standing on the table for my number one free agent person to be Brandon Sheriff, and there was an article on NFL.com that I highlighted today where Brandon Sheriff was slated to go to Bengals because, like I said, the Bengals have to make one splash type signing. That's like end of the first day, second day type of guy. Somebody just wrote on here, Sheriff's going to want $15 million. What is the website? Top of the Cap or
Cap?
Not Sports Track. It's another one. It's called caphit.com or something. They haven't projected to get $14 million. I think in years to come, 2 years from now, that's peanuts, and I like that. But at the same time, you always tell me this: Bengals don't play guards. I get it. I just seen him in action, and that guy's the truth. You got him next to Jonah. Bro, like nasty. That's Joe Burrow's blind side right there. Like that's nasty. That's top 10 NFL if he's playing and active. Like that's top 10 NFL. Like all this offensive line stuff, we could put it to bed. Not that we even need it, because my man Joey B about to be scrambling all over the place, throwing rockets and throwing everything all over the place anyway. So all you Dalton lovers, I'm gonna prove you all wrong when my boy starts going crazy anywhere. I could come out with there with the same line and Joe Burrow will still go get me 7-8 wins. How about that? But if I get Brandon Sheriff, I don't have to rely on no prospecting. I don't have to rely on those scouts, and I know what I'm getting. But my only question with him is that 12.4?
12.4 million average salary. He's 28 years old.
They said he's projected. I saw that's on Sports Track though, right?
Yeah, this is on Sports Track.
This is good stuff. If you guys, a lot of people ask me questions about different players, and this is all me and Ace do is go on the internet and look up.
I'm just laughing because they compared him to Cordy Glenn. So they compared his contracts, and they say that the comparable players are Zach Martin, Andrew Norwell, Trey Turner, and Cordy Glenn.
Don't forget this, people. The more and more I'm watching this, bro, if Cordy Glenn can get down to that 9-10 million type range, I think we can get a third, fourth, or something crazy like that. The only thing that bothers me is just people might just be thrown off about all of his antics and say, "Yeah, we'll give you a fifth. We might give you a fifth." But he's worth a second or third if he's playing. If he was playing.
Pixel Productions asked that we see Mel Kiper standing up for the Bengals. Yes,
I did. I posted on my story too as well. So
Zim posted it on our story.
I got the audio. Y'all want to play it? I recorded the audio just in case.
No, you can. Follow Zim at Zim_Hude on Instagram. That way you guys can be in tune with all of his stuff. He's always posting anything as soon as he gets there. Be sure to check him out. You can also bang the subscribe button here at New Stripe City. We're always going to have kind of like breaking news content and stuff like that. So definitely bang it here. The next question comes from John Doe. So you don't know. Do we look at strong safety and free agency or round two? Me, I'm going to probably say, you guys know that I'm not a huge Sean Williams guy. It's not a secret. I don't think that he's trash, but I just feel like we could upgrade at that position, like a guy like a HaHa Clinton Dix. But that might be dreaming right there. I'm not even going to lie to you. I would love to have a HaHa Clinton Dix.
I don't think so, because of the journey that he's been on recently. I don't think it's that. That's why I bring him up. You think that's going to be a tough sell, and you think that's going to be a hard sign for us?
I don't think it would be, but I would think that we would have to, and I have to look at the cap numbers to see, like, if we were to cut Sean Williams, how much hard cap that would be. But I would think, like, I would think that the Bengals would have to cut him for that. And I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. I wouldn't mind upgrading at the strong safety position because the secondary in general kind of struggled last year. And I think if you can inject someone that may be a little better in coverage, I'm not sure if Ha Clinton Dix is that guy. But I think that that's where Sean Williams kind of suffers, in my opinion, is sometimes he's not the best guy in coverage and he's more focused on knocking guys out instead of, maintaining the correct coverage and trying to cause turnovers. Zim, what are your thoughts? Do you think we should go in the draft or do you think that we should look at a strong safety and free agency?
Draft, but honestly, I don't know what it looks like. Ha is like my guy though. To me, because of the way that he plays, the only other safety that I know that's out there off the top of my head is like McCourty. See, this is another thing. Clinton Dix only made $2 million last year, and didn't he get like he was playing on a 1 year, $2 million deal?
$3 million.
How much?
1 year, $3 million. 27, about to be 27.
27. 2019, he made $2 million. That's it.
That's it,
bro. Like, come, bro. I'm trying. Look, bro. 2 interceptions. He had 1 touchdown, 78 tackles. You put that next to oh my god, like next to Jesse Bates. Like to me, that's my number. Like that might be like at the top of my list for real. He gets injured a lot. I know at some point, and he had that prove it deal with the Bears or whatever. But even when he was with the Redskins, wasn't he with the Redskins 1 year after Green Bay?
He has been around a lot.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like it's not like I'm saying like I'm trying to get a top tier dude. Let me tell you, the safeties up front. I'm gonna start doing my share screen after that. They have Devin McCourty as a free agent higher than him. They got Justin Simmons. He's 26 for the Broncos. He's the guy that only made $2 million last year, but he's gonna make a lot more this year. Byron Jones is my number. Anthony Harris is the guy that's going to get paid. There's a bunch of safeties that's going to get paid before people even look at Clinton Dix.
That's true. He played for the Packers for 4 seasons. He was on the Redskins.
Jimmy Ward's out there.
And then he was on the Bears. So that's crazy.
Jimmy Ward's out there. There are other hybrid guys like Kendall Fuller that are out there too that can play corner. He's younger. He's at 25. So there's a bunch of guys. Somebody said, "Can I get a hootie?"
Hootie for sure. Oh, it looks like I got
that. And why somebody said that, and then everybody just was like, "Hootie!" I like that. That's nice.
That's crazy. Let me show you guys this Pro Football Focus stuff on Clinton Dix. Yeah, I'm with you, Zim. I would definitely take this guy. We're talking about a 74.2 overall grade, 76.3 in run defense,
elite,
48.5 pass rush. Who really cares about that? 75.5 in coverage, though.
That's elite, bro. Like I now, what these results, right? I do see him probably maybe getting a 3-year deal or something like that. You make it front heavy. He might be if they could get him for around $5 million, $6 million a year or something like that.
Right.
Now I think that's now what the market says.
Right. Cut Sean Williams and give him money.
Don't cut Sean Williams. Listen, when you take Sean Williams out of coverage, you will see what I'm saying. Take him out of coverage. Only person that Sean Williams needs to be covering is tight ends. If he can get into that role and he's just a hybrid, when Burfict was here, I remember a couple times that I've ever talked to Burfict, whatever, and Pac-Man said this too. He said there are so many teams that they played when Sean Williams was coming downhill, the running back didn't want no smoke. And I never forget that. And to this day, the games that I go to, the only person who I hit every single time is Sean Williams. And Sean Williams has a big knack for making plays, bro. And with that, he misses a lot of tackles. But if the focus is out of coverage and now I got Clinton Dix back there, I just think his value is going to
right. It's just an upgrade across the board, man. 54.4 overall, 58.8 in run defense, 57 in pass rush, 50 in coverage. Like I said, if it comes down, let me ask you this. If it comes down to a money thing, right, and it's like you can either take some of the Sean Williams money and get ha.
Why you keep on calling that Sean Williams though?
I'm not a huge Sean Williams guy, bro.
Like, hold up. I thought you were like, yeah, we can just take Sean Williams' money. If you gonna go that route, hey, I'm gonna keep it 100. If you gonna go that route, you might as well look at Drake Kirkpatrick, not Sean Williams. If you want to get money,
that's cool.
If you try to get money, like that's 10 mil right there.
That's true. That's true. You said, why am I always coming for
He like, yeah, like let's just take Sean. How much does Sean Williams make? Like $4 million?
He make a decent amount of money. Let me see.
He had a good contract. Let me look at something too. I want to get my shit screen.
4 years, $20 million. So yeah, not too bad. I just know how the Bengals think. Like when you really think about it, like anytime that they sign somebody out there, it's always like for example, what Vaughn says, right? Like they cut him and then they sign like Preston Brown. Like they always do this thing where they like cut somebody and then they sign somebody that's like that exact same position and they go in again. I think they did it with Kevin Minter 1 year or two after they cut Ray Maluga. But let me get back. I'm getting off track here. Other moves besides Burrow and
shout out my man John Doe. Shout out Fuse. Shout out Aaron Carter. What's up, bro? What's up, TJ Patterson? What's up, bro? What's up, Who They Dre?
Let's see. What do you think about the NFL adding a 7 playoff team? We touched on that. Appreciate that, Aaron. Do you guys think Thorough? I think he's calling Burrow thorough. Will make the Bengals competitive fast. Of course, you know how I feel about it, Zim.
100%.
Let's go through here. Foos. Should Joe get an extension this offseason? I'm not sure what that means. They're trying to
Joe Mixon. He's talking about Joe Mixon.
Oh, Joe Mixon. Yeah, of course.
That's a good question. I want to see. What do you think about that?
I would love for Joe Mixon to get one. And I know it's controversial because a lot of people are talking about the running back market is crazy right now. But I would at least give Joe one contract. Now, that second one, I can't say because Joe is only 23 right now. Like, Joe is really only 23. Like, when he was drafted, he was 20 years old. So he's still got a lot of tread left on the tires. I definitely love to at least give him a contract till he's about 28 or something, 27, because that would be the prime years of Joe Mixon. Like, I would hate for him to go somewhere else and just take off afterwards. Zim, what do you think?
I'm never a proponent of giving a running back a big time contract, but right now our offense doesn't have that much money to give out to other players, and this is the beauty of the 4-year window of a Joe Burrow. This is why you Chase Young mother effers will never learn. A 4-year window for a quarterback is the most valuable thing in all of sports.
Yes.
A 4-year window of a rookie quarterback that can actually ball is the most. So that allows you to pay Joe Mixon, and I would do it. Yes.
All right. Cordy Glenn, trade, cut or no? I think we've all talked about. We both said that we want to trade.
I'm sorry. I have to say this. I have to apologize to Ace. I told Ace that Joe Mixon is 100% going to hold out, right? And all I've been reading this whole entire offseason is how Joe Mixon is like, I can't wait to get back on the goddamn field, right? So I think he took that whole thing away from me. But I've been saying like, hey, Joe Mixon's going to hold out because before he was making all these comments. But
right,
I'm sorry.
One thing that I will say is that man loves football. It's almost similar.
Him and Tyler Boyd are ready to go, right?
Right. Let's see. Why won't the Bengals make an official statement responding to Carson? I don't think that they should. Like, if you listen to Lap and Dan Hoard, they actually kind of came back at Carson after those comments. But there's no reason for the Bengals, in my opinion, to put out an official statement. Addressing the pick six king. Like, Carson Palmer was trash. Like, I'm so tired of him blaming like the Bengals for all of his problems. Like, the Bengals weren't out there throwing pick sixes. And like today, Willie Anderson jumped up on Bengals.com and was like, that had nothing to do with Mike Brown. He was like, I could have blocked better. Carson could have. He didn't say throw a pick. I'm gonna say that he said that Carson shouldn't have thrown a pick, but he basically said Carson could have thrown a better pass. But to me, that is what Carson Palmer was to me. He never took accountability for anything. He let Chad basically take all the bullets from the media for a lot of that blame on why the Bengals weren't doing what they were supposed to do. And he never stood up as a quarterback. He's never been a leader. He was always a coward. So I wouldn't even address that coward. Zam, what do you think?
Man, they gave Carson Palmer over $100 million. I don't even know why is he acting like Mike Brown didn't do nothing for his life. Like, he had over $100 million. They act like Carson Palmer, if you talk to him, you'd think that they gave him a turkey sandwich from Subway or something and said, go out there and play football. We gave you a bum ASS $100 million and you still talking about he wasn't trying to win. Like, we gave you
I love how he just skipped over the fact that he played for the Raiders and quit on them too. He was like, "Oh, I got to Arizona." I was like, "Hold on, you was in Oakland before Arizona. What happened there?"
Exactly. Like, it wasn't like he just he had success. He got hurt again. Like, neither here or there. If y'all ever want to see a clip, my guy, I forget his name, but on Bengals.wave on Instagram, probably like one of the biggest pages on Instagram, he posted the Carson Palmer like last play, and I remember this game like it was like yesterday. They were playing the Ravens. It was 3 guys sitting in the end zone, and this is at the end where Carson just flat out just gave up. Like, go watch this play. It reminds me of Dalton 4th and 3.
I talked about this play when we were last on here. That's the play I talked about. He gave up at the end of the game. I remember that. I didn't want.
And the players are all just standing there like, we're standing right here. And the Ravens are celebrating. And I remember watching. I was like, why y'all celebrating like y'all stopped something? He just threw the ball on the ground. Like it's like the most insane thing ever. If I ain't know no better, I would think someone paid him to play like the way he played in that game. Like, there were so many opportunities. And then that last drive was just the icing on the cake. What are they down? Like 19-13, scoring drive, red zone, 3 players wide open. Ravens had nobody right there. He just throws the ball like on the ground. Like, it's the silliest thing you've ever seen.
This is the guy that y'all think was an elite quarterback. This is elite to you? This is elite to you, a man that only had a rating twice in his career. Like, Carson Palmer is the most overrated player that I've ever heard of in my life. 22 interceptions.
Was better than Palmer.
24 touchdowns and 22 interceptions. 26 and 20. Like, look at that 2010 season. That's on Mike Brown. 20 interceptions is on Mike Brown. 26 and 20 again. Like, he was basically like a watered down Jameis Winston. Get Carson Palmer the F out of here. Like, we don't want to hear about that bum. He's not a Hall of Famer. He's not anything. Why are we even giving him any kind of credit whatsoever?
You know what was so funny to me? If you go talk to, remember when there was I don't know where these people are anymore. I don't know what cave they hide out these days. But remember the Burrow haters, right? Before everybody kind of like bought in, we still probably get like 1 or 2% probably in here. Like, we should trade the pick and be idiots for the rest of our lives. Like, those guys are still here somewhere. But there were so many people that said, well, Joe Burrow only did it 1 year. Go look at Carson Palmer in college. And he was always the number 1 pick for like 2-3 years. Like, his junior year versus like, bro, like Carson Palmer was absolutely trash up until that last year that he had in college or whatever, playing football. But he was always supposed to be like this Andrew Luck type guy, but he never had like the play on the field match up with that. It kind of reminded me of I forgot the guy's name now.
Sorry, I just had to laugh at this message from Jacob. Is Greg Robinson a better LT left tackle or a better drug dealer? 157 pounds. That is hilarious.
Hey, hold on. On one podcast, did we ever talk about getting Greg, though? Because in my mind, I was thinking like he'd be all right. Up until he picked a new profession.
So Jeffrey wants to know, what should the Bengals make? I guess what moves should they make in the draft other than taking Burrow? There is no other move for me, Jeffrey. You take Burrow.
The move that they should do is almost like what they did when they got Cordy Glenn, is figure out a way to move Cordy Glenn, get that pick, and then combine some picks, and then we could talk about getting a linebacker earlier than me. That would be something that I would want to see. But for me, cornerback, like the more I'm starting to watch more highlight films, we're going to do some shows coming up, and I want to see the combine too. but I got some corners that I think could start like day one. And we talking about Darius Phillips. And the thing that's going on right now is the depth from the cornerback. Like, what are y'all talking about? BW Webb? You Darquez Denard didn't really kill it.
BW Webb can go too. I'm not.
But I'm saying there is no. Where's the depth at corner? And that's, to me, quarterback is the most important position on the team, but cornerback is the most scrutinized, vilified, like microscope type position on a team. Like, and you don't really have depth, and that's something that we always did. And right now, I don't feel too good about our depth at our corner. John Doe says corners are stacked. Where are we stacked? Where are we stacked, John Doe?
To be honest with you, I don't think the Bengals.
Darquez is not under contract.
When's the last time the Bengals picked somebody like this dude? This dude right here. Odell Thurman. That was the last time they picked a good linebacker. Like, we might need to. Our linebacker.
What round?
I have to go and find Odell Thurman at one point. Let's see what we got here.
Hargraves is just a slot, ain't he? Right, Diddy?
Yeah, Hargraves is trash. They cut him. Hargraves, yeah, I know Bucks fans. Hargraves is trash. Like the Texans.
But isn't he just in the slot though? He's not an outside corner.
He should play in the slot. Sometimes they play him on the outside. He's really too small for it. They put him in the slot, and he was still getting trash.
What do you think about Logan Ryan? You seen him out there? They've been attaching him to us a lot too.
Yeah, if the price is right, I'm cool with that. Wrapping things up here. Let me see.
Let's do the rapid fire round. Let's just run through them real quick.
Rapid fire. I don't really see too many things other than 157 pounds of Reggie. Somebody asked for Hargraves, like you said.
Palmer makes my blood boil. Yep, fuck him. Palmer trash. Facts, Jeffrey.
The corner that left and went to Houston is still, Jonathan Joseph. They never replaced Jonathan Joseph, bro. They never replaced him. That was crazy.
I'm reading the comments. Yeah, they were flaming. Y'all, if you guys are listening to this podcast live on your phone or something like that or whatever, in the comments, you have never seen Carson Palmer get trashed like this before. This is gold. I want to post all of these comments. This is awesome.
Like, bro, like people talk about like I was a Dalton hater. Like, y'all should have seen. I wish YouTube was as big back then when Carson was around. Like, I celebrated the fact that we got rid of Carson. Like, we were paying him top 3 quarterback like money, and he was out here throwing 20 interceptions. Like, the last straw for me was, I think, that Bucks game. They came down here. They played the Bucks, and I think it was like 2 minutes left in the game or something. Like, the Bengals still had a chance to win, and he like went out and threw an interception like right to Akeem Talib for basically the game. And I remember like being on Twitter because Twitter was still kind of lit back then, and they were like, somebody made a joke that Carson Palmer threw his keys to his wife, but it was intercepted by one of the defensive players of the Bucks. Like, Carson was trash.
But back then though, I believed in him. Though I used to believe in Dalton too.
I believe, like, I don't. To me, honestly,
not like I believe in Joe Burrow.
I think what damaged Carson was the elbow. When he had that elbow injury in like 2007, 2005, Carson Palmer. I'll sit here and be like, 2005 Carson Palmer, I could say was up there as a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, but like once he had that elbow injury, like he came back throwing mega picks. Like, it was a lot of picks, bro. It was a lot of picks over there. Now, I'm not saying he was like the worst thing ever. I just feel like Andy Dalton, in a sense, almost kind of outplayed him, which is crazy. And you guys hear, we don't really write that much about, Andy Dalton. We don't really like praise him or anything. So like for me, Carson Palmer was decent, but he's not like this elite guy that's just this amazing quarterback that like really didn't even do much more than Andy Dalton. Come on.
Well, with that, people, I think we're coming to a close. A lot of people are saying, asking about particular players and stuff. I want to get into the players like on our next show. So please, in the meantime, please follow Ace on New Stripe City. please make sure you're sending in all the different guys that you want us to check out too. And what I'm gonna do, like in my spare time, like when I get breaks and stuff throughout the day, at the very least, I go watch highlights. I got 2 sites that I go to, and I actually go to try to watch where they cut up different games, and I look for different traits. I'm not an analyst, and I'm not claiming to be that, but I do look for some different things, and it does give me a good guide when we start going into the draft. But please send us in like some guys that you guys like. That right there is super, super suspect right there. That is the most
Are you
suspect.
really gonna trust the guy that signed up for this ad? You're really trusting that?
Bigger than the bun, smoked sausage, bigger links, and bigger taste. I'm Carson Palmer eating a large sausage. If you're listening to this, Ace just pulled up like the silliest. I think you showed me that. I want to say like 6-7 months ago. Like that's how you look at Carson Palmer. It's like some sausage eating guy.
That's
He didn't even put chili on that thing. That thing was raw dog. That's a raw dog. No ketchup, nothing. No onion, none of that type of stuff. He was just raw dogging hot dogs.
Raw dogging. Exactly. That's why they TP'd his house too. But thanks you guys for listening to the Orange is the New Black podcast live. Appreciate it taking your questions. Be sure to subscribe to us. Be sure to subscribe to me and Zim on Twitter, at Zim Hude on Twitter. I'm at New Stripe City. Be sure to blow up our mentions. Also, like I said earlier, subscribe or follow Zim on Instagram at Zim_Hude. Follow me at New Stripe City on Instagram. And also subscribe to this channel that you guys are watching, because any week that we do this, we'll be coming straight live.
Yeah. While you saying that too, there is a real good interview on there right now with Austin Gale from PFF on there with John Sheeran and that's not and Anthony's show. Please go check that out on Cincy Jungle. So if you guys listen to the podcast, please go check that out.
Yeah, check them out. Make sure you leave us a review. It's the Orange and Black Insider. Check them out. Also, check out Matt Minish's Chalk Talk as well. All sorts of content loaded there. So definitely be sure to check them out. And as usual, we'll leave you guys with a Who Dey.